The crisp, formal envelope felt cold in my hands, a stark contrast to the warmth I used to feel in Grandpa's house. The air in the lawyer's office was thick, with a tension you could cut with a knife. My relatives, dressed in their somber, expensive best, shot me looks that ranged from pity to outright scorn. They all knew. They all thought I was the black sheep, the one who disappointed Grandpa the most. And now, the will was about to be read, and their smug faces told me they were expecting to be proven right. Mr. Davison, the family lawyer for as long as I could remember, cleared his throat. He was a kind man, with eyes that held a hint of sadness as they scanned the room. "We are gathered here today to honor the last will and testament of Mr. Arthur Pendleton," he began, his voice echoing in the silent room. He went through the usual legal jargon, the words blurring together as I braced myself for the inevitable. My aunt was to receive the beach house, my cousins, the stock portfolio, piece by piece. Grandpa S.'s lifetime of hard work was being divided among the people who had barely visited him in his final years. Finally, my name was called, and to my grandson, Mr. Davison read, pausing for what felt like an eternity, I leave the sum of $1. A collective gasp, followed by poorly suppressed snickers, filled the room. My cousin, Mark, couldn't even hide his grin. I felt my face flush with heat, a mix of humiliation and a strange, hollow ache. $1. It wasn't about the money. It was the message. It was a public declaration that I meant nothing to him. I just stared at the single-dollar coin, Mr. Davison, placed on the table in front of me, its metallic gleam mocking me. I wanted to run, to escape the suffocating judgment in that room, but I couldn't move. My feet felt like lead. That $1 was the final nail in the coffin of my relationship with Grandpa. I remembered our last argument. He wanted me to join the family business, to follow the safe, predictable path. But I had my own dreams. Dreams of being a photographer, of capturing the world's beauty through a lens. A fool's errand, he had called it. You'll end up with nothing. It seemed his prediction had come true, as my relatives started murmuring, already discussing what they'd do with their new fortunes. I prepared to stand up and leave with what little dignity I had left. But then, Mr. Davison held up a hand. "Please, everyone, remain seated," he said, his voice firm, cutting through the chatter. The room fell silent again, and all eyes turned back to him. He was holding a second, smaller envelope, one sealed with Grandpa's distinct wax stamp. "There is a clause," he announced, "an addendum to be read only after the primary bequests have been distributed." My aunt scoffed. What more could there be? Mr. Davison ignored her and carefully broke the seal. He unfolded the single sheet of paper inside and began to read. "This clause is for my grandson, and my grandson alone." My head snapped up. What was this? "Another twist of the knife," he continued reading Grandpa's words. "My boy, if you're hearing this, it means you stayed. You didn't storm out when you heard you were only getting $1. You faced the family's judgment with your head held high. That's the first test." A murmur of confusion rippled through the room. "Test? What was he talking about?" Mr. Davison continued. "You always had a fire in you, a stubborn streak that I secretly admired, even when it drove me crazy. You refused to let others dictate your life. And while I worried for you, I was also proud. A man must make his own way." I could feel tears welling up in my eyes, hearing the words I had longed to hear my whole life. "The $1 I left you," the lawyer read on, his voice softening, "is not an insult. It's a key!" He gestured toward the coin on the table. "Look at it closely." My hand trembled as I picked it up. It wasn't an ordinary dollar coin. It was older, heavier, and as I turned it over, I saw it. A tiny, almost invisible inscription. On the edge, the year Grandpa founded his first company, and next to it, a small keyhole symbol. It was the key to his old, dusty safe, the one in his study that no one had been able to open for years. The rest of the family was in an uproar. "A key! What does it mean? This is absurd!" my uncle shouted, standing up. But Mr. Davison just smiled faintly. "The will is very clear," he said. "The contents of the safe now belong to him." He handed me the actual, physical key that had been inside the second envelope. It was small, ornate, and felt like the weight of the world in my palm. The rest of the will specified that my inheritance, the true inheritance, was everything inside that safe. Later that day, I stood alone in Grandpa's study. The room smelled of old books and his signature pipe tobacco, a scent that brought back a flood of memories. I walked to the large, iron safe hidden behind a painting of a ship at sea. With a shaky breath, I inserted the key. It turned with a satisfying click. The heavy door swung open, revealing not piles of cash or gold, but something far more valuable. Inside were stacks of leather-bound journals, his diaries, and on top of them, a brand new, top-of-the-line camera, the very model I had told him I dreamed of owning one day. Beside it was a letter addressed to me. "My boy," it read, "your dreams are not a fool's errand. They are your legacy." I was too proud to say it, but I followed your work. I saw the photos you posted online. You have a gift. This money, and here he detailed an account with enough funds to travel the world for 10 years, is not to make you rich, but to make you free. Free to pursue your passion without fear. The journals told his story, a story I never knew. He hadn't been born into wealth. He had started with nothing, a dreamer just like me, who fought against his own family's expectations to build his empire. He understood me all along. The dollar wasn't a rejection. It was a symbol of his own humble beginnings. He had UNL left me money in the main will, because he knew the others would have seen it as a failure on my part. Proof that I'd come crawling back. He wanted to give me my victory on my own terms. He wanted to see if I had the same strength he did. The strength to stand tall when the world thinks you have nothing. In the end, Grandpa gave me more than just money. He gave me his blessing, his story, and the freedom to write my own. He gave me back our relationship, even after he was gone. He taught me that the greatest inheritance isn't something that can be counted, but something that must be earned through character. And that, I realized, was a lesson worth more than any fortune. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever felt misunderstood by the people you love, don't give up hope. Sometimes, their love is just written in a language you haven't learned to read yet. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this one. See you next time.